First encounter with the Tulip Group. On this beautiful autumn morning, Claire and her mom headed to the nearby playground. The weather was perfect for a little sand play. Since one of Claire's favorite games was making sand cakes, they brought a big bag of sand toys with them. The little girl settled down in the sandpit as soon as they arrived. She wanted to make a cake as her 3rd birthday was coming up. Her mother sat down on a nearby bench and Claire started digging a deep hole to find wet sand. She was digging and digging when suddenly her shovel hit something. She put the shovel down beside her and reached into the hole with her hand, trying to fish out whatever it was. It turned out to be a big, colorful pebble. "Wow! How big!" Claire said excitedly, then reached for the shovel to continue digging. But to her surprise, the shovel was gone. Suddenly, she saw it in the hands of a boy she had never seen before. "Hey, that's my shovel. Give it back," Claire said. "I just want to play for a bit," the boy said, running away with the shovel towards the other sandpit. Claire ran after the boy and saw that there were more children playing in the other sandpit. "I wonder who they could be," she asked herself. Finally, she boldly went to the boy and took her shovel out of his hand. The boy, startled, pulled Claire's hair in response. "Ouch! That hurts!" cried out Claire. "Patrick," a gentle voice interrupted the little boy. "You mustn't hurt anyone." "But she took the shovel out of my hand," Patrick said. The lady smiled. "Actually," she explained, "it belongs to the little girl over there." Patrick looked surprised. "But how can I play now, Mrs. Sparkle?" he asked. "Mrs. Sparkle?" Claire looked up. "Are you preschoolers?" she asked. "Yes," Patrick nodded, tears welling up. "We are from the Tulip Group. Adam and I wanted to see who could dig the deepest hole, but we only had one shovel. I needed one too." "Darling, don't cry," said Mrs. Sparkle kindly. Claire looked at her closely, as she had never seen a real nursery teacher before. As Claire was about to start nursery school and felt a little nervous, she watched with curious eyes to see what would happen next. She wondered what it would be like to be in a nursery group. "If the only problem is not having enough shovels, we can easily fix that," said Mrs. Sparkle. Then she did something amazing. She reached into her pocket and pulled out a red sandpit shovel. "In fact," she said, "you know what? Shovels for everyone. Let's have a big competition together." She continued with a smile and pulled more colored shovels out of her pocket. Claire was amazed. "Wow! Mrs. Sparkle can do magic." Turning to Claire, Mrs. Sparkle asked, "Will you play with us?" Claire's eyes sparkled. "Can I?" "Of course you can," Mrs. Sparkle replied. "Come on." The children gathered in the sandpit and the competition began. "I'm timing it," Mrs. Sparkle announced. "The one who can dig the deepest in 5 minutes wins. Go!" Meanwhile, Claire's mom arrived and was surprised to see Claire playing with the nursery kids. "And time's up," Mrs. Sparkle said. So everyone had to stop digging. Let's see who dug the deepest. What a surprise! Dolly won. But after all, Mrs. Sparkle added, it doesn't matter, right? The point is that we all had fun together. And she was absolutely right. Claire also had a great time. In fact, playing with the other children was much better than being alone. "Am I going to come here too, Mum?" asked the little girl. "I don't think so," replied her mother. "You must be proud of your little girl," Mrs. Sparkle remarked. "She behaved very well." "Maybe we will meet again, and you can play with the Tulip Group another time," she said to Claire. "Tulip Group?" Claire's mother asked. "But I also signed you up for the Tulip Group." "Really?" Claire's eyes lit up. "Yes, the nursery isn't far from here, is it?" Claire's mom looked questioningly at Mrs. Sparkle. "No, it isn't," Mrs. Sparkle replied. "Well, that's wonderful," she went on. "Then we'll see you soon indeed. I'm so happy to have such a clever, bright little girl in our Tulip Group." Claire was very happy. She chatted excitedly with her mom about her wonderful day all the way home. She couldn't wait for the moment when she would see Mrs. Sparkle and the children again and finally become a real member of this magical Tulip Group.